You played 1 year with the number 4, the gunslinger, Mr. Brett Favre. You played 2 years.
One
2.
year in Atlanta when we drafted him. And then when I left Atlanta, I went to Green Bay. So we played together in Green Bay, along with some guy named Kurt Warner that no one knew about at the time. I don't even think Kurt knew who he was at the time. I'm saying that facetious. What a great player, great guy Kurt is, but he was there, interesting also in that process.
So you met 2 Brett Favres then.
Yes,
One, the
yes.
rookie that never played, that didn't know if he was gonna get a shot, and then the one that was starting to come into his own in '94. What were the 2 differences that you saw?
Well, it's going back to kind of the comments I was saying earlier about myself. Brett knew he belonged, and and he demonstrated that. And he told Jerry, he's the best quarterback on this roster. Chris Miller was Pro Bowl quarterback, so the move was good business. The Falcons drafted Brett with a second round pick. They got a first round pick for him. I mean, it was good business, and you had a Pro Bowl quarterback. Why would you not make that move? So obviously, Brett's career is what it is. And so, and the history has been written, but there were no missteps in the process of him getting to Green Bay. And the Brett, in a shorter answer is, you know, it was his team. He was in control, and he was on a quest at that time too, because they hadn't won the playoff. They've been going to the playoffs, but they hadn't gotten over that hump. So he was on his quest at that time when I was there in '94.
And he was quick to say, if it wasn't for Majowski, Don Magic getting
Yep.
hurt, then he would have
Yeah,
never
sure.
he's like, no one would have known who Brett Favre was, so it's like those injuries will put someone in the
That
limelight.
that could be true, but I think, I don't believe in the football gods, but we'll use it for the terms of the understanding of it. But as the football gods laid it out, that was the path for him to show who he was. So, in Magic's career, Don's a great guy, injury derailed that situation, and Brett got his opportunity.
Is there a story you can share with us, whether Atlanta or Green Bay, that many people don't know?
About Brett specifically,
Correct.
the best stories go back to when he was in Atlanta, just because of the Glanville, part of this thing. And, not being on the team picture for the Falcons, if you go back and look, Brett is not on the team picture because he was hanging out. And I think he was late, if memory serves me correct. And Jerry, very upset about that, obviously. And he wasn't, because Jerry and Ken Hurok, they had some issues. I think that was more Ken's pick than it was Jerry's pick. And so the lack of maturity there for Glanville just kind of set him in a different mindset with Brett. So, the thing that I remember most about Brett was, he'd always leave his door unlocked. And, that's just kind of counterintuitive, but that's kind of where he came from, who he was. So it's just great that, like I said, the story played out because it's a journey, and it starts with perseverance. I think Mike Holmgren played as much of a role in his greatness as anything else, because it was, Jerry couldn't lead Brett because he's a defensive guy. Brett needed a savant who was strong enough, because Brett is a strong character also, that could get the attention and command Brett's attention. And then working with Steve Mariucci, that was more of coach and buddy, and Mooch played his role strategically, brilliant guy that he is. So, but I really think that Mike Holmgren, had to harness the bucking bronco to get his attention. And that's what I think is what's probably not talked about with Brett's career more so than anything else.
Jamie, this is episode 12. And as I throw it to Brett, what does the number 12 stand for?
Well, it is the number of tribes in the Bible. It
Mm.
is 12 disciples. And I guess in this venue, there's been a lot of quarterbacks that have worn 12.